Welcome to the Ideal Investor Show. This is the podcast where we help you challenge your mindset and discover where you are. Tired of stories about other people's success? We can help you change your life, determine your time freedom point, and join us on the journey to financial success. Let's go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Ideal Investor Show, where we bring you interesting information regarding money and investing and early retirement, reaching the time freedom point and financial independence. And we are continuing our mini series that talks about all the different aspects of emotions and money and how those can influence each other. And today I want to talk a little bit about an issue that I have seen happening a couple of times. It actually started out even in my earliest memories within my family, and that has to do with communication and relationships in the context of money. So what I mean by that is when you have a relationship, like you have a partner, a living partner, or you have a spouse or your wife or your husband, and to do investments in the long term, assuming that you have a lifelong commitment or something very long in play, so to speak, requires that you are on the same sheet of paper. And it starts out initially with how you actually set up your place. And I know that can already be an issue and a source of conflict, but it goes even deeper when it comes to investing, especially in those cases where you start out small, basically relatively low income, and you're putting money aside and then you're deciding what you want to invest in. But as the numbers grow bigger, especially assuming that you're successful and you're working with a coach or a mentor and it actually really works out and you're making good progress, then there can be two issues. Number one is that one of the partners is in favor of more risky investments and the other is in favor of more conservative investments. Then the other one is that one partner is in favor of taking profits while the other one is in favor of letting existing investments ride. And then the third one that can also happen, but that is more a longer or medium to longer term situation, is that as the value of these investments increase over time, and I'm talking longer period of times, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, there might be at some point an issue if you didn't actually ever talk about how is this going to be dealt with from a legacy or generational perspective. Now, as long as you are together and you're happily together and you have your relationship and everything is fine, then most of the time what I've seen is that those investments as they grow provide joy and expectation because ultimately you want to benefit from them. You don't want to just have them sit there and appreciate that they actually keep going up in value, but you're doing it for a purpose. And that's what I mean by financial independence and reaching the time freedom point, both from a monthly income as a passive income portfolio, but also from the overall value. But then there's also a rub potentially, because it might be that the things that you and your spouse want to do with the results of your investing might differ. Right? Like your spouse might be thinking, well, when we finally retire and we have the opportunity and the time, we want to use some of that money to travel and go around the world and get to see the world and get to see cool places without worrying about money. And you might be thinking, I always wanted to have this one thing or these two things on my bucket list and they cost a lot of money. So I'm waiting to actually be able to afford them. But then you might not be able to travel around the world anymore, assuming that you also need to have a certain amount of money always to pay for your living expenses on a monthly basis, right? So these kind of things, all these kind of inner relationship related, investment related things are really something that can cause conflict and can cause emotional distress. And what I recommend is that you not only talk about it, because that's the communication part, but also that you create something, and we actually support that in our mentoring program at Ideal Wealth Grower, and that is creating an estate plan. What I have created for that, and anybody who is listening to this episode, I'm more than welcoming you to go onto our Udemy place and find our online course that talks about how to protect yourself, your assets, and your family. And what it mainly looks at is to say, okay, what kind of a structure should I have? And that structure should include that you do all your operations related to investing with an S Corp LLC, that you create a series structure, that you ultimately create a family trust, and that you create for each person relevant in this kind of situation, at least you and your spouse or partner, to have a will. And put all those things in place, because that kind of forces you ultimately to really address what is happening now, what do we want to happen in the future, what happens if we get run over by a bus, and who is going to inherit, or what is supposed to happen with the things that we have created in our lifetime. When you address it, when you talk about it, when you agree to it, and when you put it in writing, that really gives it a plan and gives it a frame. And that's what I really recommend to do, because a lot of people wait way too long to do that. And when then the disagreements surface, it might be too late, and it leads to these really nasty separations sometimes that we want to avoid. So I hope this is educational for you, and we are going to show you and make available to you the link to our online course so you can see what I'm talking about. And if you like my help for that, because we have the resources, I've said that so many times, we have the resources to connect you with, to do the legal work and the paperwork and all those kind of registrations and stuff in our network. So if you want to talk about that, please go to idealinvestorshow.com and find the button that says book a call, and then we get in touch and we talk about it. And if that's the only thing that you want, take the video course and then actually get help and connection and referrals to our resources, that's fine. And obviously I'm always hoping that you want more, and I'm happy to provide more, but let's take action, make a start, book a call, and let's talk about it. So that's it for today. Be well and stay safe, and I talk to you tomorrow.